government announced some temporary changes to the new benefit in kind rules for employer-provided vehicles on the 7th of March. This announcement represents the second round of changes to the benefit in kind rules in 2023, and from what we currently know, the additional temporary changes will apply from 1 January 2023 until 31 December this year. Confused? Well, keep watching this short video to help you understand the main tax changes and ensure you operate the right benefit in kind rules. So in summary, what are the rules for calculating BIK on company vehicles in 2023? Well, the CO2 emissions rate of a vehicle now plays a key factor in determining the BIK charge applicable. This essentially means that cars provided to employees with higher CO2 emissions results in an increased BIK charge compared to cars with lower CO2 emissions. This emissions-based approach to calculating BIK applies to all company cars provided from 1 January 2023, irrespective of when the car was first provided to your employees. So what are the details of the changes for 2023? Well, under the old rules, the maximum BIK rate started at 30% of the original market value of the car, or OMV for short, with discounted rates ranging from 30% to 6% under 5 different mileage bands based on business-related travel. Under the new rules, there's now an extra component involved in determining the cash equivalent for BIK purposes. In addition to the OMV of the car and the business mileage undertaken, the CO2 emissions rate now has a major impact on the BIK calculation. There are 5 CO2 emissions bands, and these range from A, the lowest, to E, the highest. The new maximum BIK rate is now set at 37.5% compared to 30% under the old rules, and a minimum BIK rate after discounts for business mileage has also increased from 6 to 9%. As part of the temporary measures to apply in 2023, the threshold to enter the highest mileage band under the new rules, which was originally set at 52,000 kilometres, has now been reduced to 48,000 kilometres. Another helpful temporary measure applicable in 2023 is a €10,000 discount on the OMV of the car in determining the taxable value for BIK purposes. While cars in category A to D can avail of the additional discount, cars falling into the highest emissions range, category E, won't qualify for the extra €10,000 discount. Electric vehicles. On company-provided electrical vehicles, the BIK preferential treatment has now been extended to 31 December 2025, although tapering is now applicable from January onwards this year. For example, for 2023, the BIK charge is now calculated by firstly deducting €45,000, increased from €35,000 under the new temporary measures, from the OMV of the car, and then applying the new BIK rates under the most efficient CO2 emissions range, category A. For subsequent years, a deduction of €20,000 is permitted in 2024, €10,000 in 2025, and no deduction available thereafter. So what's the position on company-provided vans? Well, there's also been some notable changes to the calculation of benefit in kind on employer-provided vans. Firstly, the flat rate applicable in the calculation of the BIK charge has now increased from the standard 5% to 8% of the OMV of the van. Secondly, similar to electric cars, the favourable BIK rules now operate on a tapered basis and are also set to be abolished from 2026 onwards. So what action should employers consider at this time? Well, firstly, to reflect the backdated temporary measures recently announced, employers may need to make a once-off payroll adjustment in the next payroll period. As a result, employees should receive a tax refund for any taxes overpaid in previous months in the period the adjustment is made. Secondly, employers should also ensure the new BIK regime is operating correctly thereafter. For example, the new BIK rates are being implemented correctly, accurate and up-to-date travel records are being maintained for all employees, and routine payroll adjustments are being performed to reflect actual business mileage undertaken. And lastly, employers should be clear on the tax consequences specific to the vehicle being provided. Often cars advertised as commercial vehicles can be subject to tax at the higher passenger vehicle BIK rates. So what are the key takeaways? The application of benefit in kind on employer-provided vehicles is a key area of revenue focus, and costs associated with retrospective adjustments can quickly add up. Revenue will always review in detail rates which differ from the maximum BIK rate. And remember, the onus is always on you, the employer, to ensure the correct calculation of benefit in kind. So robust PAYE controls and adequate record keeping is absolute paramount when dealing with this area. This can be a complex area for employers to manage, especially with the backdating dimension to account for the new temporary measures. So if you do need professional tax advice, please feel free to contact me or your usual KPMG contact.